SeriousTreebornFrog back with another duel. This one is very fresh on my mind. Literally just happened. Um, it's quite an interesting game. I'm not going to say I played like 10 out of 10, but I mean, I felt like I was under pressure the whole game, and I just want to go over it. This is a high-rated Edison battle. I mean, I guess it's not. This guy's only 566, but he seemed to be playing pretty well. Anyway, let's go over it. We can play this one a little bit slow. Well, let's fast forward till something pops up. So our opening hand, we have a Swap Frog, a Brain Control, and a Caius, so we have to make do with pretty much Caius Heavy Storm. That can get you pretty far, but like, we need some more gas. We definitely need a hero. That's all the hand needs, but yeah. Looking at our opponent's hand, it's like a tuner away from being good. And double book means like we'll have no Treeborns potentially. So now all of a sudden their hand's pretty nutty. Let's put the volume down a little. So they're just gonna banish our Treeborn, discard a card in their hand, dust shoot us. Like all of a sudden it looks terrible for us, right? So they make Colossal here. That might be right. I don't know. I'm not gonna really question that. Seems fine. Honestly, not the best card for us to lose there, but not the worst. So they open Dust Shoot. That is insane right now because like we have like an okay answer to their board with Brain Kais, but they got rid of our only tribute, so all of a sudden the brain does nothing. So we're just gonna use the brain on the Reaper and kill it just so we don't lose our whole hand. And then we're gonna have to ask ourselves like, are we gonna take the damage from the Colossal or are we gonna Regeki break it? But little did we know they have Book of Life, so they're just gonna summon this Reaper back, and we're gonna be at 36, and they have 36 on board, so we have to Regeki break something. And the question is gonna be, do we want to Regeki break the Reaper or the Colossal? Because we have to value the cards in our hand if we ever want to win this game, like sneak a way out somehow, right? So, wow, that Kais is a really good draw. So yeah, we're just losing Dead Miracles. They're not setting back row, so we'll discard the heavy and hope for something. And we get there, right? Now, had we discarded... I mean, had we killed this Reaper, we'd kind of have like a clean answer to this Colossal. I mean, we have to lose the 0 here, but so be it, right? Anyway, let's just see how the game goes from here. This is all fine. So here we have to set the Miracle. Our opponent knows it, but the Reaper can discard the Miracle from her hand. We don't care about losing this Ocean, and actually it would be a Water for the Miracle. So the Kais is pretty good. They know all our cards, so they can easily banish this. They actually should have attacked with the Reaper first, got rid of the Ocean. Main phase 2, Kai's the Miracle Fusion, leave us with Stratos, I think. I think that's a little bit better. I mean, it's only an Ocean, but... And then we draw Dust Shoot at the perfect timing. I mean, what a great time to draw Dust Shoot. Meanwhile, our opponent draws it at the most opportune time ever when we have Brain Kais in hand. And we're just dead. That Mind Control, I mean, the Ocean would have stalled us a turn and maybe we could draw Miracle Fusion, but they have Mind Control. Now, looking at this hand, we have a Frog, a Rhoda, and a Miracle Fusion, and a Fader, and a Compulse. Like, it's not terrible. Our opponent has a Mind Control Kerbon's hand, so that's not bad. They have Dust Shoot again. They're really good at opening it. And they have a Crow, which could be alright for the first Frog if we ever get it. Engrave. And then we draw Unifrog. Obviously, opening any card with Frog in its name that's not a Swap Frog is very bad. For the most part. Like Dupe Frog, Treeborn, Unifrog. Yeah, you run 5 Frogs in your deck, so there's like a semi-decent chance you'll draw them, but like drawing multiples is really rough. So we choose to go Stratos here rather than set the Treeborn. I think if I had like a Monarch in hand, I would consider setting Treeborn, but since we don't, we kind of just want to get another card. And I think we set out the Malicious Edge, if I'm not mistaken. So can't get that, unfortunately. It would be decent here, but like it doesn't do much against zombies. They either have like a big synchro on board, or they have like a pyramid turtle that you don't want to attack. So all it's really doing is having some minor synergy with Soul Exchange, in my opinion, and I don't really like it in this matchup. So we're just gonna get an Alias. Alias is also like a similar aspect as like the Malicious Edge, but at least it can like deal with Dyna, so I like it a little bit better. So our opponent's gonna do the Dust Shoot Sangan. They have a Trag, which actually this Trag is gonna be like the centerpiece of this entire game. And the way I play into the Trag is interesting. And it's something to like go over and think about. Was this even good? But yeah, they're gonna get rid of the Fader, which kind of says, hey, my hand's aggressive. I kind of feel like it makes me feel like their set's like maybe a Pyramid Turtle and they have a Caius in hand, or maybe they have like a Zombie Master. That's what it makes me feel like. That being said, my hand's not great, but I feel like maybe Treeborn would be a decent pick. I don't know. I guess you have Crow. Yeah. So here we're just gonna go hard. I kind of bait out a Pyramid Turtle, and then maybe we'll consider if we want to attack into Gores here. I think it'll depend on. So since this is saying it'll depend what they get. Like if they get like an extender, I might consider attacking. And I think that is what they get, if I'm not mistaken. I think they get like no, they get a Gale. So them getting Gale is really weird in my opinion. Like that means hey, I want to get an answer to your Stratos or your to your Alias. So like I'm like not afraid of Gores. I think there's like a 0% chance they have it because they got a card that answers my cards on board. That being said, they have Trag and it's going to be at 3k, so that's kind of awkward and maybe we're going to have to compulse it or I don't know. So yeah, we set the one compulse. Looking at their grave, they have like potential level 6 plays if they wanted to. Luckily, they don't have a level 4 in hand, which is kind of nice, but we could compulse our guy, so like whatever. Um, so they're going to Gale our Alias. And then here they're going to attack. So we could consider like bouncing our Alias and that like at least blocks the Gale attack out and then the Trag will just kill the Stratos. We think for a bit and then we just take it and then the Trag attacks the Stratos. We could have bounced the Trag maybe. What that would have allowed us to do was Stratos attack the Whirlwind, the Gale. But then they're just going to drop Trag again is what I'm thinking, I think. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. So I think our play is just like, we have two heroes in graveyard. So we're going to kind of play around Crow and just like set the Unifrog, use Miracle. And then we have to think what we want to attack because no matter what we leave on board, the card we leave on board is an answer to the 0. So that's awkward too. So yeah, we go ahead and do this, and we end up killing the Gale just because it's a tuner. Like they can do tuner things, and the Trag, sure they could run a Titanial or something. I don't even know what they could run to take the 0. But even if they take 0, we could always compulse it and blow up their board. So here's where the game gets a little tricky. They attack our 0. We could either let the trade happen or we could compulse their Trag. I end up compulsing their Trag. And I think next turn is where I make an even more questionable play. So I set Treeborn, and then I think so much this turn. I think like I'm thinking how I want to set up the game, and then I just like attack into Trag, which is surely it's just not correct. But I guess it does put them down low. But if we're gonna attack into Trag, you definitely don't set Treeborn first. You do it main phase 2. And if you're gonna attack into Trag, I feel like you have to have like a game plan, and I think I just like I lost the line of sight for a moment. So yeah, we attack into the Trag. So Trag is just eating our compulses. Like, we have the same question we had last turn. Do we want to compulse the Trag? It kind of makes more sense here because our opponent's at 2400, right? So we compulse the Trag, we can attack for game. It's not the end of the world. And we know their opponent's card is not like a Mirror Force or a Deep Prison because they didn't use it. So it could be bottomless, it could be torrential, it could be pulling the rug, it could be some stupid side deck card, I don't even know. Um, Royal Decree, not Royal Decree, we're frogs. Yeah. So they summon Krebons. I'm thinking I'm kind of safe. Like there's a couple lines here. The Unifrog's gone. We could have went for like Substitute plays. We could have just attacked. The thing is, if we attack, we kind of just like let them set up synchro plays, maybe even Stardust or Kai's plays. And I feel like I'd rather just. I mean, the only card that answers this is Torrential. I was figuring it might be bottomless or pulling the rug even, but not torrential. And the torrential is a blowout here. I'm not gonna lie. And I mean, did I have to play into it? I think I did, to be honest. I think I had to play into it. I'm not like too upset with this play. I mean, I could have played it a bit slower, just attacked. They'd be at 16, but they have a really big hand, and zombies is always scary, especially when you don't have like a Gores or a Fader in hand, or even a Regeki break to set. So they go set Plague. Here we're gonna bring back Tree, and they're gonna Crow, and we're okay with this because we have the Prodigy. So we have a cool line here where we can go Prodigy, Substitute, do some frog things, end with the Swap Frog. Swap Frog can attack, and if it's like a Pyramid Turtle, we can brain it. And if it's not, the Substitute can attack. They're going to drop the Trag for sure, and we can brain it. So either way, we're going to pretty much guarantee resolving this brain. And that's going to be pretty decent. Yep. And yeah, we're just going to... So we ended up on a soft lock here because, I mean, we have I believe there's one other frog in deck. Maybe not. I think there is. And, yeah. So their hand, they could Book of Life, Caius. Wow, they're actually... It just looks like we're dead based on their hand alone, right? So they get rid of both our dupes, attack for 2k. We get the last since so I we know they're killing the sub. We search for the last swap frog in deck. That makes complete sense. The Unifrog is banished. And what's the card they set? Mind Control. And we top deck Miracle. Obviously that's a lucky draw, but I mean we had Caius, we had Ryza, we had Miracle, even like a Vanity Fiend, which we decided would have worked here because that's a bluff. So I mean we had plenty of draws that could have worked. No complaints. All right, so somehow won that game. I mean, we had two draws total, and with the opponent having mind control, it's more like we had one draw total. So that was a really lucky draw, I would say. Opponent's hand looks semi clunky this game, which is great because they were pretty aggro both the first two games, especially that first game where they got us so hard with the dust shoot. It was like Exodia. With the Reaper on the Nightmare, and they summoned it like 10 times. Anyway, looking at our hand, we draw two frogs again. Not ideal. No heroes, not ideal. Tree sub can work, but this guy's on like DD Crow plus Book of Life technology, so we're just never resolving that kind of stuff. The Torrential can get us there. So let's see how this goes. Okay, and then they draw more awkwardness, but at least they get the Kais. Yeah. So that soul exchange is good. I'm just gonna slam this because it makes our hand make sense all of a sudden. Like this hand is just so passive, and with this soul exchange we can like sack their guy and just go through our frogs. And I think they're gonna say something snarky here, which like makes no sense in my opinion. But let's see what happens. So let them search their plague, tribute, swap, bounce, summon tree. All right. They say you don't fear soul release, and I'll give them that. Soul release is a card you play around in certain matchups. and others you don't, in my opinion. I think it like against Frog Hero, I'm not gonna play around Soul Release. Against zombies, I'm not gonna play around Soul Release. Against a deck like Dragons or Christia, I might play around Soul Release for sure. But the we saw this guy's sides in DD Crow, and he mains Book of Life. So if you're running Book of Life, DD Crow, and Soul Release, you're losing yourself the game. Like you're oversiding against frogs. It makes no sense. And plus, when you play around Soul Release, you're playing into their Book of Life, and that can literally cost you the game. So you have to understand like your matchups. And I just think their comment was so wrong, and just wanted to point that out. Anyway, so we know they got plague. We have to keep the plague in mind, and then they just like they're commenting on our plays when they just like set Mirror Force into a Unifrog. I don't know about that. So we have a line where we can like Unifrog kill their back row, then like Caius, and then like even Swap Frog it if we want. Yeah, that's what I like this play. Duplock isn't like ideal against zombies anyway because they have like Brionic plays. And we know they have the plague, so yeah, this is good. So we had to keep this torrential in hand because we weren't really like fearing much at that turn. And I think it's a liability to set it with your Treeborn because you kind of want to keep the Treeborn rolling. But it looks like with their Crow, we're just going to be out of Treeborn this game as well. So what's the card we don't want to lose in this hand? Probably like Torrential or Caius are the most important cards in our hand. And we lose Miracle, so could be worse. I mean, that's probably gonna be good eventually, right? So here we have a lot to think about. Since we have Torrential, we don't have to um like if you set a Dupe Frog against this board, your opponent's gonna like Caius you or make a synchro play, and you can flip the Torrential and kind of like it's pretty good for you. What I'm thinking is I kind of want to save this swap for the Caius because we're out of trees, so we want to find ways to special monsters to tribute for the Caius. So before the upstart, my thought was going to be dupe, set torrential, but then we drew the e-call. So now we're probably just going to get Stratos, and then the question there is like, do we want to get Ocean for a water to discard, or do we want to get um, Evil Infernal Prodigy for Caius Tribute? I think we go for Infernal Prodigy, but like it ends up dead the whole game. And then the question is, do we want to attack the Goblin Zombie? I think the answer is yes. Like, they're already low on zombies. Like, I think they have, like... Oh, you know what? They weren't low on zombies. I think I wanted them to get the Zombie Master and kind of overextend and maybe get blown up by this Torrential. Because we're going to kind of have to... If they make any play with that Reaper on board, I'm going to pretty much be forced to Torrential because I don't want to be losing all the cards in my hand. Even though the only card that really matters is the Caius and maybe the Swap Frog to bounce, like keep bouncing the Caius. So yeah, we're gonna attack, thinking they're gonna get Goblin Zombie. I mean Zombie Master. And they draw Pyramid Turtle. That's a pretty poor draw. So they summon the Gale. I think you just slam the Torrential here because, like I said, you don't want to lose your hand, especially this Caius. Like, so just Torrential, and then Gorz is an exceptional draw. There's a couple things to think about this turn. Like we could have summoned, swap, and attack into Gorz, and then that's a way to lose the game, to be honest. Wow, this guy has so many crows. So we just set the dupe. I'm fine with that. And then they're gonna make another questionable play. they're gonna summon a Reaper and they're gonna attack this, and they like look at our graveyard and they're like, oh, he didn't summon two dupes. Yeah, they could have known we didn't have two. They could have known we had a dupe in hand, but they don't. Now we top deck Rhoda, so we could get the Ocean, but we keep the Junk Synchron in, so we go for that. And what this means is we could like summon Substitoad, make Goyo Guardian, attack the Zombie Master, use Zombie Master effect, get the Plague, and make like a level 8, which is pretty strong. But they have another Crow, so they just use their Crow. Make Android gain some life, like it's either that or Catastor, and like, I mean, I guess Catastor would work against this Plague, but like, it's worse against Caius. It's also, actually looking back, I don't hate Catastor because we know they have Plague, and their out to this is going to be make a 5, so no, this is fine. This is fine. Regaining some life could be important with this cores. It kind of sucks that we have to leave this Reaper on board. So they attack with Reaper. We have a greedy line where we could hold the Gores, and what this means is that we'd have a 24 token. Obviously, that's way better. But I think we're just gonna drop it on the Reaper. Like, it can still answer the Caius, but yeah. So we take the 3. They discard Swap Frog. That's probably the worst card in our hand, so kind of lucky there. Caius obviously attacks the token, and then they pass. So here we're going to attack the Caius, and then we think if we want to Caius the Reaper. I guess we do. I mean, I like this. Obviously, this Gores is tributed. I like this because I just want to get rid of that Reaper. It also means they can't Caius us. So they set a monster here. We could continue the Caius train if we want. But I kind of like holding it. I mean, we have a Prodigy. Like, I do want to attack, though, because this is the point where they are low on zombies. And leaving monsters on the field is just how you lose the Caius. Although, we don't really care if they Caius us because we have a crackback Caius. And we're at high on life and they're getting low. So, like, we kind of want them to commit a Caius. So here, we're just like, okay, you have a Golem Zombie. You can keep it. I'm not going to summon this Caius. I want you to commit your cards. I did kind of forget they haven't summoned Mizuki yet, but at least the Plague's gone. They draw Torrential. That's a pretty good draw, but we have the Heavy. Goyo is exactly what I want to see. Like, we have a good answer. This hand answers that hand way better. Then we top deck the Miracle. It's about time. We draw, like, a card. I mean, we have no Treeborn, so, like, I don't know if it's about time is the right word, but, like, it's just a good draw. So special this. We're probably just going to banish the Goyo, and I would just slam the Miracle here, going for the damage. Tack, tack. So this turn could kind of matter, maybe. Like, they could special Goblin Zombie, summon Krebons, search something. I don't know. Probably doesn't matter. Oh, I was thinking it was return too. So the Fader was kind of like a good draw. But I think that's going to be it. Yeah, opponent doesn't say GG after they kind of just like, we're mean. We're a mean guy. He's mean. Anyway, subscribe and leave a comment and duel me.